Is 8:38. Convicted mushroom killer Erin Patterson has lodged an appeal against her murder convictions, which of course left 3 of her relatives dead and a 4th one got pretty close. And this is of course the story that the world could not stop talking about. She laced her family's lunch of beef Wellington with the world's deadliest mushrooms, but now she is fighting that verdict. Criminal psychologist Tim Watson-Monroe has been covering the case and he joins us now. Good morning to you, Tim. Given
Morning, Nadine.
What we learned about Erin Patterson during the trial, was it predictable that she would appeal?
Oh, I think so. I think she has to roll the dice. She has nothing to lose. She received a life sentence with a minimum of 33 years. She's, as I understand it, is appealing the verdict of the court. In other words, she's saying the jury got it wrong. There was no argument over the facts. She conceded that she mated the beef Wellington. She conceded that she invited people to lunch. What she didn't concede, and in fact what she argued, was that it was an accident, that there was no intention to kill. So I presume that that is the major ground of the appeal. They've not released their grounds yet. That'll probably happen today or tomorrow. But totally predictable that she would appeal, and I think it's totally predictable that the Crown would appeal as well. It's not so much about a minimum of 33 years. I think for her it's an academic position because she's 50-something. She'll be in her mid-80s before she's eligible for parole. But I think the Crown want to make sure that this isn't the benchmark, the new precedent for murdering 3 people and attempting to murder a 4th. So they have cross-appealed against what they see as a manifestly inadequate sentence.
She's not automatically entitled to appeal, is she? She has to seek leave to appeal. So does that mean there has to be some significant ground on which she can argue that the jury got it wrong, rather than just like, no, I really didn't do it?
Well, that's correct. We don't know what the grounds are, but certainly the papers were lodged. I might add, at the very 11th hour, the deadline was midnight Monday, and it was in the afternoon of Monday that the papers were lodged. But the papers have been accepted. We're yet to see what the grounds for the appeal are, but I think it'll be about the jury got it wrong, or there may be some legal technical point that the judge misdirected the jury in his summing up, and so on. Hard to say, but Chris Beale has a stellar reputation in Victoria. He's a very fair, highly intelligent justice, and I'd be amazed if that argument gets up. But it's yet to be seen.
From a psychological perspective, from what I understand, given she's such a high-profile prisoner, she's often been kept away from others, and obviously she's facing a very, very long stretch. Do you think maybe part of this is about attention?
She's in maximum security and she's in maximum protection. So she lives in a cell the size of an average suburban bathroom. She has no contact with other prisoners. So I can understand why she would want to appeal the verdict and the sentence, of course. I think there's a degree of narcissism surrounding this woman. I've not examined her, but I think your question's a fair one. There is a degree of attention-seeking attached to what she's doing. The hardest reality is when the trial's over, you're sentenced, and those prison doors clang behind you, and people ultimately lose interest in you and what you've done. But I think the primary driver for her, I suspect at any rate, is wanting to get out of jail.
The size of a bathroom. I mean, if she wasn't nuts already, that'd be enough to send you crazy, wouldn't it?
Look, I agree with that, but there was no suggestion that she was nuts in common parlance, or certainly she was not deemed to be legally insane. It was found that she had an intention to kill. So there was no mental state defence referable to the charges against her. But I think in common parlance, living like that would send anyone around the twist. It's very harsh living conditions for somebody in jail.
What does it say about us that we are so fascinated with this case, if anything?
It's a question I'm frequently asked. And look, I think it's got shades of Macbeth, this tragedy. There's poison, there's mushrooms, There's revenge, evidently, anger, and I think people are fascinated by poisoning cases. The fact that it involved family members, the fact that she allegedly had attempted this before with her husband. Uh, it's even got religious overtones because the one person who survived was a pastor, and he's forgiven her. I think he's a very stoic, brave person. So I think the mix of all those things has led to the fascination of this case. I mean, I spoke to journalists who are covering the trial, and the BBC was there. Obviously, we've got television from New Zealand, very interested as well. I think even CNN. So you're quite right. It's triggered the imagination of people around the planet, hasn't it?
It certainly has, and it sounds like it will continue to do so with 2 appeals now underway. Thank you so much for your time this morning, criminal psychologist Tim Watson-Monroe. It is time now to talk business.